What's up, everybody, and welcome back to A Beer a Day with TK. It's a snowy Sunday afternoon here in Findlay, Ohio. I just got done shoveling, so it's time to reward myself with a beer. If you saw the video yesterday, I mentioned that I went up to Bowling Green, Ohio for the day with my wife and my son. And we hit a couple of different places. So I went by Bowling Green Beverage Center, picked up some stuff for the show. I went to Arlen's Good Beer for the first time, picked up a few of their beers. I reviewed one yesterday. I also went by Bowling Green Beer Works to pick up a couple of their beers. Now, I've done a few of the beers from Bowling Green before. So I did Burning Couch, which was pretty interesting, and I kind of inquired as to why it was called that. And I got a bit of a history lesson from some of the viewers who led me to different news articles that talked about a raging party back in the day where a bunch of sofas were lit on fire and the police and firefighters had to show up and deal with the mess. Either way, it sounded like quite an interesting party. I also did Broom Chucker, which was the curling inspired one. So I guess there's a place where they do curling up in Bowling Green. I know there's a badge on Untapped. I haven't been to the spot yet, but I guess curling is kind of popular up that way. I've also had a number of their beers on my own. So I had the Mrs. Claus's Spicy Stash. I tried Naked Santa yesterday and Easy Wind. And all in all, I think Bowling Green really does a decent job. So this one here comes in at 5.3%, 25 IBUs. As to ratings, I went on Untapped. There were 9 check-ins, so not really a huge sample size, but I guess it was so small that it didn't even give it a rating. Same goes for Beer Advocate. I went there and there was no reference to this whatsoever. So I'm assuming it's a fairly new beer if there's not really many check-ins. So Apricot Wheat sounds pretty good to me. Let's check it out. Going with the Bowling Green Beer Works glass as well, keep it consistent. Get a nice smell of that as soon as you open it. Pick up the fruit. Now, look at that color. That's an interesting color. Definitely like kind of like a caramel color. As far as the head, nice and frothy, at least a thumb's width. That's kind of a tan color. Fair amount of carbonation in there. You can see the bubbles going. The smell, like I said, I could pick up the apricot all the way as soon as I opened it, all the way back here. Doesn't smell as good when you inhale it. All right, let's check it out. Going in. That's a pretty solid beer. Apricot Wheat, that's kind of exactly what it is. You definitely pick up the nice kind of maltiness, kind of like a caramel malt kind of thing going on, and you definitely pick up the apricot, but it's not a really strong apricot taste. When I smelled it initially, I thought maybe it would be a bit too much, but it's really not. It kind of counterbalances. You kind of have a nice malt, and then you have that sweetness from the apricot. It's also, I guess, a little bitter when you deal with those kind of fruits, but it is definitely a nice pairing. Hops, there's not much going on. You pick up a little bit of hoppiness, I guess, just to kind of balance it out. But for the most part, I think what you get on this is that kind of nice sweet malt kind of thing going on, and then the fruit balances it out pretty nicely. Medium bodied, easy drinking. That's pretty smooth beer. This could get you in trouble. This is, something you like to have on a nice spring day. Probably the opposite of today, but wishful thinking. Apricot Wheat Bowling Green Beer Works. This is a nice beer. I'll be picking up some more of these, so I would definitely have another one. It gets a thumbs up. If you like the video, please give me a thumbs up. Hit that like button. If you want to see more videos like this, please hit subscribe. And as always, if you have any comments or questions, jump in down below. If you've had anything from BG Beer Works, let me know what you think of it. If you've had this one, the Apricot Wheat, let me know what you think of it. Hey, have a glorious Sunday. Till next time, cheers.